NoSo Connection. Welcome to Ryan Gray's NoSo Draft series. Number 3, we are back with another great draft for you. Got myself, JT, with Ryan Gray, and tonight we got Steve Bennett and Marcus Fuller with us. Really looking forward to this. It's going to be exciting times. As always, we are simulcast audio and video. Videos on our YouTube channel at NoSo Connection, audio on any podcast application under NoSo Connection, so check it out. All right, Ryan, what's the topic we got here tonight?
All right, the topic is WWF pay-per-view matches from 1985 to 1992, pretty much the golden era of the WWF.
I enjoy that era.
I enjoy that Bennett's dressed like Kevin James in that movie about Sean Payton.
You know what's funny about that? So my wife's that's funny. My wife's cousin. Hey, it's good.
I haven't got to break Marcus in a while.
Yeah.
So I had to get it out of the way.
Wow, he's dead. He's gone.
I had a story, but I'll just let it go. You guys, go ahead. It was a good joke. I'm fine. Let's go ahead.
It wasn't a bad movie.
I've never seen the movie.
Really? It's a fucking Saints movie about the Saints.
You've never seen it?
It's like a positive story about it. You know,
They win the Super Bowl. They win the Super. You were an extra in the movie. You didn't watch it?
Well, because of that movie, my daughter came home crying one time because my wife's cousin, her son, watched it, and now she thinks that he said to her that we cheated, that we were cheaters.
Look, there's other fans of franchises that have cheated for Super Bowls on this call.
I'm a proud cheater.
You fit right in with Ryan. It's okay.
I'm a proud cheater. Speaking of champions,
I know tackling the quarterback has always been.
Speaking of cheating, look, we're all here. We all got it. Hogan, wrote it up. Brett cheated on his wife. Like we got it all. So we're hitting the gamut tonight.
Marcus, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Hopefully, I fucked up his draft strategy. And making
all right. While we're laughing our ass off, I'm gonna prevent the wheel and we're gonna spin it and get the randomizer going here. All right, here we go. Randomizer. Bennett, Marcus, JT, and myself is the order. All right, Steve, you are first on the clock. Let's get us going.
So the other night was the NHL draft, and the San Jose Sharks had the first pick. Fuck Jack Eichel. And everybody knew that the San Jose Sharks were going to pick Malcolm Celebrini as the first overall pick. And they get like 5 minutes on the clock, and they took every set. So how much time do I have? Because I have some deciding to do here, before I announce my Macklin Celebrini pick. So
I would say you already passed time.
All right, I will select the greatest match in the history of the Federation. Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage, WrestleMania 3.
There you go. Knew it was coming. I really wanted Ryan to snipe you. I wasn't going to do it because I didn't want the match, but I wanted Ryan to snipe you.
Hey, I'm the one that fought for it on the countdown to get it number 11. So
only because he didn't want a call from you, Steve. That was the only reason. He's like, I don't want.
You had it in the 30s or something.
No, yeah, Justin had 25.
Give me a break. All right, I picked the best match.
Now. A lot of matches. It's still pretty high.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Mark, you're up, buddy.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my number 1 overall, which is Hogan and Warrior from WrestleMania 6.
Oh, that sounds like
there.
All right, so Hogan Warriors off the board. It's an awesome match. I mean, it's a hard one.
You know what's crazy about it? I don't think I've seen it since I walked out of that building. I don't think I've ever rewatched it. I've seen, a clip here and there, but I don't think I've ever watched it from beginning to end.
Oh, wow. You should rewatch it.
Just sadness. It's just sadness.
Next year, you should rewatch it for the 25th anniversary on April Fool's Day.
I probably
We'll
won't.
do a live watch on the YouTube, Steve.
Yeah, there you go. 25th anniversary live watch. Pencil it in right now.
All right.
It holds up. It's a great match. It's a great Hogan performance. You should relive it and enjoy it. I know it was sad in the moment, but he got the belt back not too long after.
Yeah. The last time my dad would go to wrestling with me, being that it was the second time in a row, I cried for over an hour. So he was done going with me. That was the last time.
Tired of it. All right. So I only have 2 5-star matches during this time period on pay-per-view, WWF pay-per-view from 85 to 92. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of them, which I had at number 2 of my all-time greatest WWE matches, not even just pay-per-view, just all-time. Also, Ryan, I believe it was our second best match of all time for WrestleMania. That's Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man Randy Savage, or WrestleMania 7. My probably top 2 favorite match of all time, obviously. Second Warrior match we're going to get today, second Savage match. Love the story, love the build. Everything about it is perfect. The commentary, the crowd, it's just an epic, epic story on a very underrated WrestleMania.
It is a very underrated WrestleMania. We come to learn when we were ranking all the WrestleMania matches, we realized that for sure. All right, so it is on me. Mind you that you're only allowed one Royal Rumble match per card roster. So we forgot to mention that at the start. So I wanted to mention that now. Because
why is that?
I am going to take from WrestleMania 8, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Woo! But you cannot get to that match without going to the second round and getting the 1992 Royal Rumble. So those are my two matches on the turn right there.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic pairing to get both of those. Rumble 92 is my other 5-star match. So I did debate between those two. And if we only get one Rumble, I mean, that's the one you want. So checking that off as a big one to get. And pairing them up is awesome. I mean, best Rumble. Got to be fair to Flair.
I'm not sure if there's another one I'd take, to be honest. Maybe, but
in this run,
there's one more that's pretty good.
I think there's one other one I would consider, but that's about it, I think.
And I didn't want to take it in the first round, even though it was before, and I think it's better. But yeah.
It's all right. Steve took a 4th round match in his first round, so
I kind of low-key hope that Steve's able to kind of complete the back-to-back pick like I did. So let's get there. Justin, excuse me.
Well, he's not going to get the other one from WrestleMania 3 that it likes. I am going to take Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant here to top off my card. Biggest match of all time, at least for a long time, and it was in that. Marcus picked Hogan Warrior. It's in that same vein of the Battle of the Gods. If you look at that through line that kind of starts with Hogan Andre and goes on through the tradition of the company where they always have those two big guys. And I was actually curious your thoughts, Ryan. I was talking to Keithy about this the other night. Like, has that lineage been continued at all since Cena Rock in your mind? And I'm only asking you because I know you're kind of bigger on like the Reigns stuff. Like, do you feel like any of the Reigns Brock matches were presented on that level? Because you go Hogan Andre, Hogan Warrior, Hogan Rock Cena. Like, to me, those are like the big 4 Battle of the Gods, faces of the company all time. Like, those are like the superpower matches that they've put together. I feel like Brock and Roman are
Cena and Rock.
Cena Rock, yeah, from the first one. The
28.
first one.
Okay, yeah.
Brock and Roman feel like they should have been there, but I don't know if they ever have one. I think 38 is probably the closest they get, but
yeah, but not that wasn't that stupendous, and they did try to get there with the double belts or whatnot. Low key WrestleMania 40, Cody and Roman presentation was kind
of a big match. Like, but that's more like the Brett.
Cody's not at that level, though.
Daniel Bryan. Yeah, Cody's not like a god. He's awesome. I love Cody, but he's not like
that.
The
build was anticipated not to that level, but probably the closest of this era. Perhaps when we get, if they do a good enough job with Roman and Rock at 41, right. 42, whatever.
Yeah, that could be it.
Could be the next one there with that. But I don't know. Goldberg Undertaker is kind of low key also there.
But like I wouldn't even count Austin Rock as one because I don't think Austin was ever presented that way as like a monster, like in that way. I know it's different. What do you think, Marcus? Has there been one since? Would you consider Austin Rock, or do you think there's been one since Cena Rock?
No, I think Austin Rock follows in the vein of like a Hogan Savage, like your two top guys at their apex in their prime.
Brett Sean, low key.
And that's how I feel about like Cody and Roman as well. Like it follows in that vein of your two top guys in their prime.
I think that's
their hottest.
Speaking of hottest, you're up, buddy.
Oh, I am up. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and take another match I'm really high on. It is from WrestleMania 8, and that is for the Intercontinental title. Bret the Hitman Hart versus Roddy Piper.
One bologna sandwich, one slice.
I don't know.
Just slap it up on him.
That's what Paula told me, anyways, that Steve only make one slice of bologna on the sandwich.
Yeah, but you should see how much Capicola I put on.
Yeah, the Nuna puts only one slice. That's what. Did I say right? Nuna? Nona?
No. Nona? Noni is like both. I can't find that one to cross it off. I definitely have it on here. But anyway, given who's after me, I think I don't know if these picks are reaches or not, but they're two matches I absolutely love.
Can-Ams versus
and want to have. Okay. The first one is one that it always annoys me when people try to say the other one is better because it's not. This is one of the best matches in the history of the company. I'll take from SummerSlam 91, Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect.
So good.
Great.
Just an unbelievable match. That the cherry on top is the interview with Stu, where he's enthusiastically asked a question, but not given a chance to answer it because like immediately pulled from his face.
Lord help, who's the maker found a way?
But an unbelievable performance. Shout out to Kurt Hennig for wrestling that match on no backs, right? And like the bumps he took in the corner, and just an unbelievable match by both guys. And then the second one, I don't know, to finish the run on Bret Hart matches or to keep it going, but this is a personal one for me. It might not be of the perceived quality as some of the other ones, but when it comes to wrestling matches, like closest to my heart, if that can be a thing, you know, Steamboat Savage is number one, and then the second one might be Demolition versus the Hearts at Survivor Series 1990.
SummerSlam 90, you mean?
SummerSlam, yeah. What did I say?
Yeah. You said Survivor Series, but all good.
Yeah, SummerSlam 90. I meant at the Spectrum. I was there the night the Spectrum closed, and also when my daughter was about to be born, or maybe she was already born. Yeah, she was already born, and me and my wife decided to split up. We didn't want to be these zombie parents, so like we would have half the day when we'd have to be up, and then the other one would sleep, whatever. And I would watch things on the iPad and feed her and hold her or whatever. And one night I was watching this match, and right before there's the promo in the fake locker room with the Hearts. And Bret says, just like the Phil Collins say, we're two hearts beating as one. And I just looked down at my little girl, and we had a moment, even though she didn't know it yet. And I got to watch that match with her a bunch of times since. So that was a personal one, maybe not the level, some of the ones that might go after, but I had to have it. So those are my two to keep the run on Bret matches going.
I have it in my top 20-ish of these, so I don't.
I mean, it would surely.
I think it's good value at that time. Yeah, I don't.
So I knew I wanted it, so I reached fine.
No, I'm saying I don't think it was because
okay.
I have it inside the top 20. This is what, beginning of round 3. I don't think that's crazy. I do want to give a shout out on the Backbone Wrestling Network. Recently, there was an episode of Shit Tape that debated the two Bret Perfect matches. Yep. And which is better, the merits of both. That was a pretty good discussion on both of them. So, all right, Marcus.
All right. I'm going to take from SummerSlam 89, Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude.
God damn it.
It's a pretty good pick.
It's a great pick.
It's their best match.
That was definitely where I was headed.
2 Warrior man matches for me. I did not expect that.
Look, Warrior is underrated as hell when it comes to big matches. And you look at the catalog of them, it's hard to argue what he's got going on. And then you look at some of the guys that supposedly carried him, like a Rick Rude, and then you look at Rude's other matches, and you look at Warrior's other matches, and I would argue Warrior carried Rude, 2 of those big ones. So no, if you're the era we're looking at, all these big matches should be littered with Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Bret. You know, like that's who should be in all these. Along those lines, I think a couple of those guys are in the match I'm about to take. So I am going to take a Royal Rumble. I think it's the only other one that's worth taking here. So I'm just going to grab it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come back. Strategy. Ryan cannot take a Royal Rumble. So
I was going to say, I was like, oh, all right, go for it.
I will come back. All right, I'm going to go to WrestleMania 5. I'm going to take Hogan Savage. And the Mega Powers explode. Biggest main event left on the board, I think, as far as like match quality with combined with storyline. Glad I caught myself. It was almost a big fumble right there.
I was going to take
it. Like mess up, I almost had.
That would have been my 4th round pick, because in the 3rd round, I am going to Wembley Stadium, and I am taking Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog for the Intercontinental. I almost did my lineup.
That's my shit take, is I think In Your House 5 is better, but I won't go down that path right now.
So, all right, let me gather my thoughts real quick, and I am going to gather them in 1987 at the Survivor Series, and I am going to take the 10-man tag team match from the Survivor Series.
The 87, not 88, 87.
Yes, 1987.
Yeah, there's some sneaky good Survivor Series matches on the board here.
Yep.
And that's the one with the Killer Bees and Stallions win at the end over the Islanders. It's a fun one. Some weird decisions in that one, like Strike Force and the Hearts like going out early and stuff. There's some odds, or very early Demolition as well, I believe, is in that match. So
I think that the first one's the better of the two. The second one has more star power.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to take that Rumble match. I'm going to take Royal Rumble 1990. I think it's the one of the best Rumbles of all time. I think it's actually overlooked when you really start to dig in and look at the list of Rumbles. It's loaded, massive star power. You have an all-time moment with Hogan and Warrior to set up the Ultimate Challenge. A good ending with Hogan and Perfect going down the stretch. Got the Dusty and Macho Man stuff. You get the Colossal Connection and Demolition stuff. DiBiase's early run is a lot of fun as well. When Jake comes in to go after him, Piper and Bad News. Like, there's so many stories that come out of that to set up Mania and continue other feuds. So this is a really well-built Rumble. And one thing I really like about it is the colors. It sounds stupid, but like it just when you think of this era, you think of like the colors, especially like the early 90s. And this Rumble is so colorful. Everyone has their neon and bright looking tights and everyone stands out. You can visualize this Rumble in your head and you just see like the pink of the Hart Foundation, the blue of Savage, like you have this color blue on, the polka dots with Dusty, the lime green of the Rockers. Like it all just stands out to me. So it's got some really great moments, some awesome commentary with Tony and Jesse. One of my favorite commentary pairings of all time. And the crowd at the show, the whole show is amazing. This crowd is fantastic in Orlando. So I'm happy to get this pick. I don't think it's that far off from the 92 Rumble, honestly. Like I think it's
92 just has the stakes.
Yeah, 92, I have 5 stars. I would have this at probably 4.
It's at least 4 and a quarter. It's all time. So 4 and a quarter.
Great pick because I was going to take it. So good stuff.
Did we mention when the other one was picked, the Bobby Heenan Masterclass in 92? Because if not, we should just mention one of the greatest 1 hours of wrestling in the history, announcing of wrestling in the history of the company.
Yes.
A masterclass of work there.
Why don't you stay off my roster, buddy? This is my roster.
Being kind to it. It's being kind.
What a good coach does.
Yeah.
All right. I'm back up and torn between 2 tag teams and love that SummerSlam 90 match. But it is not available, so I will take the Hart Foundation versus the Brainbusters from SummerSlam 89.
Very good.
Yep.
Love the way he turns his head at the end for the pin.
Yep.
So good. Such a good little detail.
That's a classic.
Love that match. Very, very nice.
SummerSlam 89 is so fucking good.
Very good. Very good pay-per-view.
And again, Tony and Jesse are fantastic.
The last one in Jersey until SummerSlam 97.
Christine Todd Whitman. I love the random politicians that only wrestling fans would ever fucking remember. Like, she's one of them. Like, no one else remembers Christine Todd Whitman, but like, she's off the top of your dome if you're a wrestling fan, like from that era.
Yeah, and she's the one that named the rough stop in Jersey after Howard Stern too, because he helped get her elected, and it's now not that anymore. Someone changed it on him. But all right, so I have 2, and I think that Survivor Series 88 tag match is better. My ballot that was never cast because I screwed up and didn't want to type it again for my favorite matches of all time when that stretch project existed. I think it was in the top 10 at least. I love that match. I love the underdog story, the gambling talk that goes on in it between Jesse and Gorilla about the conquistadors making a run and how much money you could have made believing they went that far. The angle that nobody understands for some reason, with Fuji. So I like that one. I'll pick that one because I want to have one of the 2 at least. And then this is my second to last pick, right?
Yes.
So now if I make a hard decision, but look, it was a nightmare. A nightmare that
still having nightmares about this moment.
It's a nightmare of nightmares. Nobody has quite had a nightmare like the nightmare that the Dream Team had at WrestleMania 2 in the Rosemont Horizon. I mean, and, Bulldogs Forever, Ozzy Osbourne with the great contribution there to never be seen again, despite his forever.
Yeah. He's still a more believable manager than Albano stepping in and fucking taking the credit for that.
Dynamite being knocked into basically into WrestleMania 3 with that headbutt. Dude was not there afterwards. He was already somewhere else. But one of my favorite matches, and good time. We mentioned Bobby. Good time to mention Gorilla, and God bless him for never once missing an opportunity to say that Greg Valentine does not get going in his matches till it's like 10 or 15 minutes in, and also that they had a nightmare at the Rosemont Horizon. He got it in every time. So props to Gorilla.
Whenever I see that match, I instantly think of you, by the way.
What was a nightmare for the Dream?
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right. This is far from a perfect match, but much like JT, this is a match that you can give me the participants and I can see everybody in their gear, and it's bright and it's colorful and the star power is off the charts. From Survivor Series 89, I'm taking the Hulkamaniacs versus the $1 Million Team.
I like that one.
Unreal combo to get.
Why did you draft better in our fantasy dynasty league that we're doing?
Just unreal to be able to get like Jake and Hogan and Demolition, like all the height of their powers.
No, it is.
Zeus action too.
You know what I think of it? I think of this match as like the Hasbro figure match. Like these are like the original kind of Hasbros that came out, like Demolition, Jake, Hogan. Like those are like the original figures that were. I mean, they felt like they looked like they did at that show. So that one always stood out to me. Plus, you do get some awesome commentary where Jesse just loses his fucking shit the whole time about Hogan getting bailed out left and right.
I would say this isn't what the draft is, but of all the drafts you're gonna do, I don't think any draft will have better commentary from top to bottom in the matches.
No,
than this draft. You know, like we've already mentioned it 4, 5, 6 times, and probably forgot to mention it 2 others.
Yeah. When Shivani's the fourth line of commentary teams, you know, we're doing all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Shivani and Jesse are so underrated, both in WWF and WCW. Like they're one of my favorite teams ever because Tony knew how to play. Like Ross didn't get along with Jesse, and they like are antagonistic. But Tony was great at playing in on it, and Jesse was so sharp with him. He was like just a low key, almost like a cornier gorilla. Like I don't want to say cornier, Zero's corny, but it's like this is a different style, but he's very similar to Gorilla in that he's willing to just kind of play ball and be the straight man for the comic. So him and Jesse really, and he was so nerdy that Jesse felt like he was picking on like a nerd. So it really worked well, you know, because Gorilla had gravitas. So it never felt like you could really pick on Gorilla, but Tony felt like that little nerdy guy that Jesse could really kind of bully, but he also had like a like for him, you know what I mean? So it was like kind of like when the jock befriends the computer nerd in high school, whatever. And that's what it felt like. All right. So I'm going to take a match which I think is pretty good value here. I'm going to also go to a Survivor Series. I'm going to go to the main event of Survivor Series 87. So Hogan, Morocco, Bigelow, Orndorff, and Patera, Andre, Bundy, Gang, Reed, and Rude. I love this match. I think it's like loaded with star power for that era. The whole Survivor Series is low-key fantastic. And it's a great main event that I don't think gets talked about enough when you think of the Hogan Andre compilation. And, you know, it's a rare, I guess, victory for Andre. I know he wins at the main event, but this felt like the first blow that he actually landed and picked up a win. And it's cool he got to stand tall and be the survivor of the show. Bigelow gets a good push in it as well.
Great run by Bigelow, to get the two guys beat.
Yep. And it really kind of got over the first Survivor Series. Like, okay, it's like a big deal. Like, even though these aren't title matches or anything like that, it's still full with like stars that having big time show.
Good pick.
All right. So I had 3 in mind and I was hoping you took one, but you did not. And I already have a Survivor Series, so I don't want to take another one. So I'm just going to go out of my final 3. I'm going to go with the best match out of the 3 in this round. And it is from the Royal Rumble 1991. The Rockers versus the Orient Express.
That was the one I was debating along with this.
So with my final pick here, do I go with the moment or do I go with like the importance? And I'm going to go with the importance because it was also a moment. And that is the WrestleMania 1 main event. Mr. Wonderful and Rowdy Piper versus Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. I get all the celebrities. I get all of it. It's the last round pick and it is a very important match in company history. Perhaps not the best.
I was hoping it would fall.
But I think it's a nice capper to my list.
There's some really good ones left. There's one I think is like I have 2 that are kind of the highest rated left, but I'm not going to pick those. I do think there's like a really huge main event star power match that's on the board. But I feel like I have a lot of those already, like this mix of Hogan Warriors. Like I kind of have a lot of that already filled in. So I'm just going to go personal favorite. It's one of my all-time favorite moments. The pop is unbelievable. It's from one of my favorite shows of all time, Steve, the one you were at, WrestleMania 6, and that's Demolition versus Colossal Connection.
Best moment of the night.
Love this match. I love the match so much. Yeah. I can recite like all the just everything about it. I can, will he make it in time? When they're trying to free Andre and Haku's getting the shit pushed in at the end. Andre slapping Bobby around, riding out in the car, and the peak of Demolition. That's it. Like they're done after this. So 3 consecutive Manias tells their story, right? 4, they get a big pop when they beat Strike Force. 5, they get a godlike pop when they're defending its powers of pain. They kind of at the peak of their powers. And then 6 is their swan song as a team. Also an immaculate pop. So 3 massive Mania pops kind of tell their story and trajectory as the top team of the era. So that's my last pick.
All right. For my last pick, match quality wise, not the best, but I love the intensity and it's got a great angle to kind of end the match. And that is from this Tuesday in Texas, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Macho
so good. It's on my list.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good one. It was on my list, Marcus. It wasn't in my final 3, but it was definitely on my list to maybe go with. But I'm glad it was picked.
Yeah, and the post-match promo is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, somehow I don't have a Hogan match, so I have to fix that. And I think the best one left is the main event at SummerSlam 1988.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about with the star power. Like
Mega Powers. This is their night kind of as friends. Like that little touch on the butt at the end is the beginning of the end, right? So this is their moment with the handshake and I can feel the energy when Savage runs across the apron to run up on the top rope to drop the elbow. Like I can just still feel as 7 years old, about to turn 8 in a couple days, feel like that, the way that, like made me feel in that moment. Like it's really a great match is whatever, I guess, but the star power and the first SummerSlam, and I needed a Hogan match. I was hoping the WrestleMania 1 main event would fall, but at least this one did. So I got a Hogan. And before we go on, I want to make a 7th round ceremonial pick, because I always try when we're doing these videos or when I'm doing the podcast with Steve, the Mount Rushmore one, I try to mention my buddy Calvin, who's no longer with us, and his favorite match of all time falls within these parameters. So just, maybe this is one for all of us, just in honor of Cal. I'll pick British Bulldog versus Warlord at WrestleMania 7, which is his favorite match of all time. And I always like to try to find a way to work him into to anything I do with North South or Place to Be or whoever. So shout out to Cal, who we missed.
Match too,
great match, and it was always his favorite. And I remember when he had passed away before his memorial, someone from his family reached out to me and asked me if I knew what his favorite match was, because they wanted to like put pictures from it on like a mural or like a like a memory board or whatever. So I was able to tell them that was it, because I knew. So shout out to Cal. And so that's like a 7th round pick for all of us, I guess.
Absolutely. Awesome. Very cool. It's a very good match.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good. Yeah. There's some good honorable mentions too. Like I think the Forgotten Warrior Savage match was great from SummerSlam 92. Mm-hmm. That's like such a stiff match. They beat the shit out of each other. Very different Warrior Savage. If I didn't already have one of theirs, I probably would have taken it. The 6-man at 89, the Rockers and Tito versus Rougeaus and Martel. That was one I debated. And then Brett Shawn as far as 92 is good. Hogan Slaughter.
That was one that I would have went with. Hogan Slaughter. No one took Warrior Honky 88. I was considering that over the main event for the moment. I really like Rowdy's versus the Rude Brood from 89 Survivor Series.
And Piper Adonis was another one I was debating.
Yeah,
big moment. Yeah, and then Garvin Valentine is another sneaky one that could have maybe if we went like 10 rounds, like that probably gets in, or 8 rounds, whatever. But
I had a bunch of ones I like. Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, I have just Sheik and Volkov versus US Express from WrestleMania 1, the first ever title change at WrestleMania. Hogan Bundy and the Battle Royal from WrestleMania 2. Battle Royal is actually maybe the best Battle Royal that they've done. Maybe there's one other you prefer more, but it's definitely up there.
It's up there. Yeah.
As a really good one. I always just loved Harts and Davis versus Tito and the Bulldogs. I love the way they whooped the shit out of Danny Davis. My only criticism is like he should have never been able to swing the megaphone. Like someone else should have done that and dragged him on,
right?
Because he took the ass whooping of the century. It's so fun to watch. A couple other ones I had the pose down on there from Royal Rumble 89 match, but kind of a cool thing. Demolition and Strike Force. I always liked. I don't know. I have a bunch of them I like. This. 91, the 6-man Survivor, or I always say Survivor Series. I mean SummerSlam. SummerSlam 91. That first
opener.
Power and Glory with Warlord versus.
Do we think any of the other Rumbles? I think 91 is so like low key boring.
89 has big moments.
It's great until the end. Like the last stretch is tough. I've always said they should just put the Hogan Savage stuff at the end because that final stretch is rough. In 88, it's kind of whatever. I think the only two Rumbles were taken got taken.
I think what happened with the stud one is Stud had tricked Vince. Vince had been sold a bag of goods that Stud was going to be 85 Stud.
Right.
That making him win that, he would have this, big match at WrestleMania 5, and then he didn't even have.
Could have won, and the match could have been better if they do Hogan Savage at the end and it goes right into Stud winning. I think the whole match is way better. It's just it dies after Hogan and Savage are out, and then it's like Stud and DiBiase and Akeem. It's like no one gives a shit about those. At that point. In retrospect, DiBiase should have just won, but.
Yeah, and then a sneaky good match that would have been fun to kind of it's very colorful, like you guys brought up. Razor and Flair versus Perfect and Savage from '92 Survivor Series. That's always been a cool match. It's very good. It's not really great or anything, but it's like a cool last round pick.
All right, now on the video, you'll be able to see our picks. We want to run them down real quick for the audio one last time to track just each of ours rosters.
Yep.
All right, Steve, you want to go?
Yeah, I have Steamboat versus Savage, WrestleMania 3. I have Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect, SummerSlam 91. I have the Hart Foundation versus Demolition from SummerSlam 90. I have, how many more do I need? 1, 2 more? Hulk Hogan the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. And I don't know, I might have forgot one.
Dream Team Bulldogs, did you say that?
Dream Team Bulldogs, that's the one I forgot. Yep. Those are mine.
It was a nightmare. It's easy to forget.
It was a nightmare, yeah.
You don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
All right, I've got Hogan Warrior from WrestleMania 6. I've got Warrior Rude from SummerSlam 89. Mr. Hitman versus Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 8. Hart Foundation versus Brainbusters from SummerSlam 89. Hulkamaniacs versus $1 Million Team from Survivor Series 89. And from this Tuesday in Texas, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Macho Man Randy Savage.
Mine were Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 7. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3. Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 5, the Royal Rumble match from 1990 Royal Rumble, and the main event from Survivor Series 87, and then Demolition versus Colossal Connection at WrestleMania 6.
Oh, I forgot. I also had the tag match from Survivor. I forgot that whole round, I guess. I forgot the tag match from Survivor Series 88.
Right.
My first round pick was WrestleMania 8, Ric Flair versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. And my first pick in the second round was the 1992 Royal Rumble. And then I went with the 1987 Survivor Series tag team match with the 10 teams. And then I went to Wembley Stadium for the 1992 Intercontinental Championship match with the British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Then I went to the Orient Express versus the Rockers from the 91 Rumble. And then I went to the WrestleMania 1 main event for my last pick.
All right, so I'll do it for this edition NoSo Draft. Let us know who you thought won the draft in the comments on YouTube or.
You know what's crazy about that? Not to interrupt you, but I love all these teams. I love all these matches.
I think all the drafts came pretty good.
Yeah, this is my era. I love all these guys. I love all these matches. I don't think there's one bad.
It's not going to be me with the NWO draft having the last pick, and it's a detriment.
No, there was strong. And I think you could add 2 more drafters and still had two more strong rosters for sure. But let us know your favorite. Put it in the comments on YouTube or on social media. You can follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram as well, and TikTok, of course, to search North South Connection. Let us know who you think. Subscribe to us here on YouTube, all podcast apps. Check out the Sportscasters podcast too. And then I think that's about it, guys. So we'll be back with a draft next month. Thanks for watching.